This is Ernest from theartofbeinghuman.com with a brief input on how to do the work of Byron Katie. And what I'd like to focus on today is how to work with questions 1 and 2 of the work. Question 1 is it true? And question 2 is, can you absolutely know that it's true? And these two questions together constitute their own little meditation within the work, this contemplation of is it true, which is so fundamental to the whole process of the work. Now, one of the things I often experience is when I ask is it true, people will answer yes, it feels true, and they'll find their yes there. But that's not actually the question. The question is not does it feel true? The question is it true? And that's a very different question, because of course it'll feel true. That's the whole structure. When we believe something, then our emotions react as if it's true, and then of course it'll feel true. That's the self-reinforcing nature of this mind we have. So that's not the point. It's not does it feel true? It is it true? That's the contemplation, which invites us into a bigger perspective, or more to bring in more of our wisdom and understanding of life as we're looking at this question of is it true? Now, the other thing I want to point out then about the phrasing is that for a lot of people, it seems that question 2 is just like an intensified version of question 1. So question 1 is it true? And then what people seem to hear when you ask the second question is something akin to, is it really true? Or like, are you sure it's true? But that's not what it is. Question 2 is, can you absolutely know that it's true? Which is a very different question from question 1. Let's take an example. So let's say that I'm 9 years old and I believe my teacher is angry with me, right? So my belief is that she's angry with me. And as I'm asked question 1, is it true? I travel in my mind's eye back to myself at 9 and I'm looking at the teacher there and she's yelling. And based on like her tone of voice and the context and how she looks and what she's saying, I conclude, yes, she's angry with me. Okay, so then comes question 2. Can you absolutely know that it's true, that she's angry with you? And as I contemplate that, I'll realize that in this case, I can't absolutely know because I'm not in her head. I don't know actually what the world looks like from her perspective, right? It could be she's actually not angry. It could be that she's hurt or scared or sad. It could also be that it's actually not me specifically she's angry with. She's angry with the person who did that thing. And actually, I wasn't the one who did it. So she's not really angry with me, right? So since in this situation, I'm not in her nervous system, I can't see the world through her eyes, the truth is I can't absolutely know that it's true. So I'll find a no to question 2. Now, sometimes it can feel very, very convincing. Like sometimes this question 2, based on all the information I have, I believe I can absolutely, at least it's just, I'm 99.98% certain that yes, she's angry with me or whatever it might be. But that still leaves 0.02%. And that's one thing I really like about this question. The question is, can you absolutely know that it's true? And if there's 0.02% doubt, then the answer becomes a no. And that's all we're letting in. Even at 0.02%, there is still a little bit of doubt, however small it is. But letting that in, that little bit of doubt, letting that in can be the wedge that begins to open up and allow sort of the rest of the work to go in there and do its magic. Not that you have to have a no to any of these questions, but if you really contemplate it and take your time, you'll usually begin to see the contours of a no or find the 0.02% that you can then let in. And then when you see that, to not just move on just to the next thing, but to take the time to actually let it in. To actually notice I can't absolutely know, even if it's only 0.02%, to breathe that in and let that sort of sink into your system. And that can take a couple of minutes of real meditation, just allowing that into your system, that I can't absolutely know, and feeling how that opens you a little bit. So that's about the phrasing of this question. The other side of it is, where do we answer these questions from? Now, we could say that there is, in a certain sense, a spectrum of different positions from which to answer. So in the one end, we have the complete fusion with that 9-year-old, right? When we sit there and we reimagine the situation, we remember it, we simulate it again, and we are there, and we bring our nervous system there, which is important in order to activate us and make us and open us to these, like creating new pathways in us. We go there completely. Now, if we answer from that spot, completely fused with the 9-year-old, then of course the answers will be yes, because I'm fully him again, and that was his experience. So yes, it's true, right? But that's one end of the spectrum. At the other end of the spectrum, we then have my mature adult self, this regulated nervous system, all my experience, all my knowledge. And when I contemplate the question from here, it may be very easy for me to see that it's a no, for some of the reasons I already mentioned, or it could even be like, since I'm now this much older, I know more about grown-ups and children and their interactions, or what it's like to be a teacher, or I know about her that she got fired the next week, or she got divorced, she was under a lot of stress, whatever. So from this position, it may be very clear to me that it's a no. But the problem with answering from this position is that that doesn't engage my nervous system at all. I'm not, you could say, in touch with this abandoned part of me, this frozen 9-year-old that's caught in there, still re-experiencing the fear and trauma of that moment. So what we want is to combine these two, not to answer from one end of the spectrum or the other, but to find that sacred middle ground where we have that child part of me who is met by the adult part of me, like they come together. Like I like to say it, there's this poetic way I like to say it, which is that what happened was that 9-year-old back then didn't have me to support him, but he does now. And this process is of me traveling back to him and taking him on my lap, and then together we investigate and contemplate these questions. So that's what we want. We want his activated situation combined with a still like a sense of regulation and maturity and insight, and then to have those two things fused and then answer from there. That's, in my opinion, the best place to answer these questions from and do the entire process from. So those are my suggestions. Notice that the question isn't, does it feel true? The question is it true? And that there is a difference between question 1 and 2. Question 2 is, can you absolutely know that it's true? And even if you only have a very, very small, a minuscule sense of doubt, that's enough to have, this is not an absolute. And then to take the time to let that in. And as you answer these questions, to then answer from this sacred middle ground where you combine the activated nervous system with the adult self. And that goes even if, it could be something that happened an hour ago or yesterday. It doesn't have to be like a 40-year span. You can have just a day or an hour. But still, it's letting the triggered state, the unregulated state, meet the regulated or calm state, and together have those two contemplate the question. So that's my invitation. If you're not already doing these things, if there's part of it you haven't tried, then to really try that out and see what that's like. And if you have any questions about that or anything else regarding the work, as always, feel free to send me an email. Send an email to ernest@theartofbeinghuman.com or visit me on my website, www.theartofbeinghuman.com. Thank you.